Your top story at the hour. Today is the second day of Oscar Pistorius' sentencing. Defense counsel Barry Rue is likely to call the second witness. The witness is from a charity organization. The witness will testify in mitigation of Oscar Pistorius' murder sentence. Earlier, State Prosecutor Harry Nell said Professor Jonathan Skolt's testimony is biased towards Oscar Pistorius. During cross-examination, Nell said Oscar Pistorius was verbally violent towards officials, a report that was not omitted by the professor. However, Skoltz maintained he still finds that Pistorius was not a violent man. Sentencing proceedings were postponed to today at the Pretoria High Court. Well, as promised, I'm now joined in studio by the ANC Women's League's president, Batabile Dlamini, who joins me live in studio. Good morning to you, and thank you so much for making time for us here on ANN7 once again this morning. First and foremost, let's just talk about why the ANC Women's League feels so strongly in making its stance during the Oscar Pistorius murder trial.
Because the Women's League has been highly involved on the issues of violence against women and children. And it's a platform where you bring women from all walks of life, and it's an issue that we've been trying not to politicize. And one other thing is that South Africans must know that the lives of women are very important.
Definitely.
And therefore, if there is such a case, we are going to come out as women. And others have been saying we are looking into the elite and all those middle class and all those issues. We've always had the face of our campaign. At some stage, it was Rasuche, and at some stage, we even went to Nigeria as the ANC Women's League. But also in all our provinces, if you follow up what is happening on the cases of femicide, on the cases of child killings, we've always tried to ensure that we make an impact, we push for the maximum sentence, so that no other man thinks of abusing a woman, just touching a woman. And killing is worse, because you are cutting somebody's life very short, but also you want to behave as if that person is your property and should not have her life and should not decide about her future and her body.
Now, on that topic, and you've mentioned it, a lot of people are of the view and of the opinion that the ANC Women's League's involvement in the Oscar Pistorius trial is politically motivated. What is your response to people who are of that opinion?
Issues of violence against women will always be about power. And whether you deal with the issue of Colonel Rasuche, people will say it's a political stance. And if you can make a follow-up on what was said during that period, there was a strong feeling that it was a political stance, and therefore people will always say that to discourage us. But as we have said, these are issues that should unite women across political lines, because they are about what happens to a woman who stays in a four-story building, in an informal settlement, in a township, a professor, a judge, a nurse, a domestic worker, a farm worker. So it happens all over. And therefore you can say that it's a political stance. We've never actually asked the political affiliation of anyone. We've taken up the issue on, and yeah, We have never done that.
There is a lot of truth in that. Abuse can happen to any woman, despite where you come from, despite your age. And you've said that there's always been, you know, a face to the Women's League's campaigns with regards to violence against women and child abuse. But just talk to me with regards to telling these stories of those average South Africans who are not in the spotlight, who are just average people. Has the ANC Women's League focused on young girls who are being murdered, you know, weekly, but who are not in the public eye?
Firstly, we have taken up issues of young women, some of who die in taverns, and we've even tried to make a follow-up on who those girls are. And some of them, you'll find out that they are foster care, they are under foster care, and we've taken up those issues very seriously. And even in the Western Cape, there are cases that we've been following that are about the killings of children as well as women. And even when it comes to the members of the African National Congress, we've been very forthright, and we've said that we are not going to compromise when it comes to the issues of violence against women. But what is unfortunate is that when something comes up or something is done by a member of the ANC, other political parties would say, let the Women's League act, as if it's the responsibility of the Women's League to campaign and mobilize women around the issues of violence. Well, we agree, we've been leading on those issues, but we've even dealt with the issues that include our leadership.
And on that note, do you think that the South African media has played its role accurately in exposing and telling those stories of those average South Africans? Because, I mean, the Oscar Pistorius trial has gotten so much, you know, spotlight and so much media coverage, but those stories of those average South Africans are not necessarily being told. Your view?
I think what is also important is that the media would always want to portray the wrong doings of those that are in the limelight. And some of the ordinary cases, they do follow, but they don't follow those as they follow the cases of those that are in the limelight. And there is an attitude of trying to, when the Women's League takes up the campaign of saying, no, we are taking up the campaign because of political reasons, and then when the campaign is also at a branch level, regional level, provincial level, the people would say, no, we are not taking up those issues seriously. And even the media would say so when they know that if they like, they follow you. If they don't like to follow you, they don't follow you. And also, it will be unfair for us to always want to be in the limelight, follow the cases of those that are well known. So we take up all the campaigns. And what is important is that the Women's League has the structures from a branch up to national level. And we have a program of action. And that is why we've always led when it comes to the issues of violence against women. Even when it comes to the legislation, that has to do with violence, domestic violence. We have led as the ANC Women's League.
Now, with regards to day one of the pre-sentencing arguments that took place yesterday, something that came up was the issue of forgiveness. The Women's League has been in contact with the mother and father of Reva Steenkamp with regards to, and she's written about it in her book as well, A Mother's Story. With regards to your interaction with Reva's family, what has that been like?
I think they are a very humble family, and also their emotions are not easily whipped, and they've been treating everyone who is coming with support equally. I think you'll remember when one of our leaders made a mistake in the Free State. We went there to apologize, and the apology was accepted by the family. And they've never said, no, you can't come here, we don't want your support. They've accepted the support of all women that have been supporting them.
And on the issue of forgiveness and also the issue of remorse, as the Women's League, do you think Oscar Pistorius has shown remorse? What is your stance on him and his actions?
I think that should be judged on the basis of the interaction, on reconciliation. Because you cannot judge a person on such matters on face.